Hello, everybody, and welcome inside our NHL Network studios as we count down the top 20 wings in the NHL right now. Alongside Johnny and Rupper, I'm Jameson. Hope you're doing well at home. We've hit this point in the season, right? The offseason, should I say. And I love this because we've kind of run out of things to talk about when it pertains to the NHL regular season or the Stanley Cup Finals or whatever. But we also have the Countdown Show, which is, you know, it's always polarizing, right? Anytime you rank anybody 1 through 20 or whatnot, we love to hear the feedback from the fans. What do you guys think? Do you like being part of these shows, like where you're ranking stuff, and it's always up for debate, isn't it?
The challenge is you're going to make someone mad. You never think about making someone happy.
Nobody ever says.
I don't think we do.
Nobody ever says that was a good job.
Nice.
You guys did really good.
Or thank you very much. You put me at number 18. All it is about the guys who are not
check your
there,
Twitter.
or they're too
You guys
low,
nailed it.
or you have a bias against our team. So yeah, I love them.
Yeah,
I love them.
Are they tough to do? You guys did that. You put your input in, right?
It is hard. It is hard because I think, especially when you get to the end of some of these lists, like you can open it up to being about 25 players who could get into that top 20 in this case.
Yep.
But I think in a lot of the categories that we've done, the top end guys are pretty much said for.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at last year's list.
Sure.
So we have something to go off of for this year. So here you go. Your 2024 top 20 wings right here. Nikita Kucherov taking the cake in that department, number 1. Tkachuk, number 2. What a year he's been on. Mikko Rantanen, your top 3. Anything jump off the page to you guys here as we look back on what we had a year ago?
Well, Kucherov, obviously, but also some of the guys who popped on there. You're thinking Zach Hyman appearing for the first time, Travis Konecny, Clayton Keller, players like that who are sort of ascending, and you wonder what the true measure of greatness is. Can you do it year after year after year? It's hard to. So we'll see how many of these guys can make it back to the list again this year.
And one name that jumps out to me, Brad Marchand. You see him there at 18. Well, if we look at Brad Marchand the way it ended,
oh my goodness,
we're like, oh my gosh, this guy almost won a Conn Smythe.
Is he going to be number 1?
But the regular season, right? But the regular season, you can be like, I can understand if he dropped off or was not on this list this year.
So what's your definition of right now? I guess we'll find out. Without further ado, let's go 20 through 16. Our top 20 winger right now. Let's take a look at this year. All right, so Adrian Kempe making the list at number 20. How about Matt Boldy? First time on the top 20 list as well. Number 19, Philip Forsberg at 18. The grade 8, Alex Ovechkin, and what a season he had at number 17. And Jason Robertson at number 16. Let's start with now the greatest goal scorer in the NHL, Alex Ovechkin. What a season it was for not only him, but also the Washington Capitals in the regular season.
I mean, it was fun to watch, right? We were following it. We were paying attention every day. We were getting OV Watch. Everybody's checking in on that. But I think this was a nice indicator, not just the record in itself, which is incredible, but the longevity and the streakiness still. Like, he can get running, Johnny, still, and he can be as hot as anybody.
The fact that this guy, at this age, deserves to be on this list is incredible. He scored second highest goals per game in the NHL. We know he's a goal scorer first and foremost and best of all time in the history of the NHL, but he was on pace for well over 50 goals had he been able to play the entire season. And he did this, what did he fracture? His fibula?
Yeah.
At some point in the year as well, and still came back and put up this kind of year. Would have been 90 points, would have been 50-plus goals, which would have had him even higher on list. And oh yeah, he was a captain of one of the best teams in the league as well. So it's amazing. We saw him get hurt for one of the first times, but also how quickly and how well he recovered and how well he can still score the puck. It's the hardest thing to do in the NHL, and he's the best of all time, and he's still going strong.
You mentioned it. I remember with that rip that he was on at the beginning of the season, and we started comparing it because you're talking about who at that time was going to be the all-time greatest goal scorer.
Right. But when?
It was as good, if not better, than any clip he's been on in his career. That's how good he was still getting it done at that age.
And then when he got close to the record, too, like when the pressure really mounts, all of a sudden, he just kept rattling off goals like it was nothing.
And we hear about pressure from players, and he would have felt pressure to try to get it done this year. He had the commissioner, Wayne Gretzky, following him around. You don't want to keep them on the road for 3 weeks. It did not matter when everyone that they were playing against was like his entire career. We're going to take him away. We're not going to let him shoot it. We're going to defend and shade to him. None of it mattered, and it mattered even less when he's getting close to beating Wayne Gretzky's record. It was an incredible year for him.
All right, so Alex Ovechkin at number 17. At number 16, how about Jason Robertson? Bit of a drop from last year. We saw last year's ranking. He was number 6. He drops 10 spots down to number 16, but it feels like Robo is a guy that has a lot of gas left in that tank.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Robo is probably just consistency, and you can argue, I mean, how much more consistent? He's at least an 80-point guy, it seems like, every single year. But I just think that just shows how high the ceiling is for him. Just turned 26. I don't think he's a finished product, but he's certainly explosive when he's kind of in his groove. I think the big thing is he kind of goes dry at different times, and maybe that's what we saw here.
I wonder, you see 82 games played year after year after year, but he hasn't always been healthy. He hasn't always started the season after a normal summer of training. Last year, I don't think he was entirely healthy in the summer. Yes, he manages to play every single game, which should be commended, because he could have missed some time and maybe trained a little bit more. Got off to a slow start for sure, but he is a talented offensive player. But that's a down year, 35 and 80. That's a down year. I still think he absolutely has a 100-point production in him. And one of the strengths of his situation, but also maybe one of the limiting factors, that he plays on a team that is really deep. So they don't have to rely on him. He doesn't have to get too much ice time. He has to share the wealth, and he's got a lot of good players to share it with.
Yeah, I think that's why when you look at that board right there, but then you also add in Mikko Rantanen, I think that serves Jason Robertson really well. Not just because, hey, on the power play, you're going to play with another great player, but that's where the focus is going to be on the opponents. I don't know if you're going in there and game planning for Jason Robertson, which you probably should. And on most teams that he would be on, you would be. But Mikko Rantanen can take some of that off his plate.
I'm also curious because he talked about wanting to make the Four Nations. And how he was almost distracted or preoccupied by his desire to represent the States in that tournament. To a negative. And then once the team was picked and he wasn't on it, he sort of let it go and got better.
It was like the revenge tour
for next year. The Olympics coming up. He's not
going to be on the mission.
But he's not going to be on the, I don't know if he's going to make that team. Same sort of thing will be hanging over him. How does he deal with it next year so that he doesn't go through the kind of slow start he had to go through this past year?
I think about this back to his rookie year, too. Do you remember how interesting he made that Calder race with Kirill Kaprizov?
And he started like halfway through the season.
Halfway through the season, then he went on this absolute killing. So that's the big thing, Johnny, is I love when the superstars, they might say, hey, I don't listen to the outside noise, but they hear it. They use it as motivation. I think he will. I'm expecting a big year from him.
All right, time will tell on that front. We're just getting started here on our countdown. We'll take our first time out. When we come back, he made a massive impact for his country at the Four Nations face-off. Had a big impact for his team up in Ottawa. Find out where the Sens captain, Brady Tkachuk, ranks when our countdown returns.
No one can answer Brady Tkachuk.
He just plays the game the right way.
He's built old school, and you gotta love his game.
A super pest that's extremely tough.
He's always in the blue paint. If he goes to the dirty areas, you see that resume off.
He's a force to be reckoned with.
The heart of that hockey club.
All right, Brady Tkachuk definitely on our top 20 countdown. The question is where? Here is your answer at number 14. Taking a look at 15 through 11 right now. Clayton Keller of the Utah Mammoth at number 15. Tkachuk, as we mentioned, at 14. Brandon Hagel at number 13 from the Bolts. Jesper Bratt from the Devils at 12. And Jake Gensel, new team, same production, coming in at number 11. Let's talk about Brady Tkachuk. And Johnny, you talked about guys and the pressure of representing your country. He seems to relish that kind of thing. Both him and his brother and what they did at the Four Nations face-off put a cape on the guy because he was like a superhero.
Yeah, he was Captain America. He was incredible. And I think it's a real testament to his game, his personality, and the different ways that he can impact his team's success. The fact that his stats went down, but the perception of his game went up. He didn't score 30 goals this year, didn't have 80 points, but we saw what he can do certainly when he represents his country. And I think we're always waiting, Ruffer. Imagine what Brady Tkachuk can do when he's on a better team. Imagine what Brady Tkachuk could do when it matters more, when he plays for something that is that emotional and that physical. Because that's what he's better at than just about anybody in the league. And he kind of showed it in the Four Nations, down the stretch to get Ottawa the playoffs, even in the playoffs. I think it's just the fact that he can impact the game without just scoring points.
Which is tough because when you're talking about these lists, they're very point-driven, as they should be, because that's the name of the game, right? You got to score more goals than the opponent. You need guys and that can put the puck in the net. And like you mentioned, Johnny, his numbers were a little bit down for him. But all those other intangibles that he brings is what makes him so valuable, and how you can't underestimate that on a list like this. I mean, he can impact the game and not be on the score sheet He probably will be. He'll probably take a penalty if he's not getting any points. But he's just, we saw that time and time again this year. I can't wait to watch him continue to develop with this Ottawa team and see him in the playoffs every year.
I'm around that team a little bit. I'm down between the benches. You get a sense of the kind of leader that Brady Tkachuk is. And he is vocal. He is passionate. He is in your face as a teammate. He is in your face as the opponent. And not a lot of guys are like that in today's NHL. That's another element of the way that makes his leadership style unique. He brings it when he plays, but he also asks you to bring it as a teammate and not afraid to challenge you that way, in a good way.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of people want to rally behind Brady Tkachuk and recognize how special a player he is.
Lead by example. All right. How about number 13, a guy who's cracking the top 20 for the first time in his career, Brandon Hagel, and what a year he had. How about this? These are the numbers over the last 2 seasons, but how about last season? 35 goals, not one of those goals coming on the power play.
Seems impossible.
Right.
It's incredible.
That's NHL history right there.
Yeah.
Nobody's had more goals without a power play goal in a season.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I love the fact that he plays in all situations too, because he is on the power play, so it's not like he's not getting them because he's not on it. So, but he also kills penalties. He's done that in his career. He could do a little bit of everything. Johnny's he's an antagonist as well. Like this is talking about players who can make an impact on the game in various ways. I mean, Hagel's that, and look at. You see him get more and more and more, and that's what it's about in the league, right? You get the trust of the coach or coaches. You played on a couple teams now, and you get a little more minutes, a little more production, a little more minutes, a little more production. Now you look at him; he's absolutely incredible what he's been doing.
When he got to Tampa, we're like, oh yeah, he's a good player. They got him on a good contract. I understand why Tampa would want him. There was no part of me that thought he had this in his game. You recognize he's got some skills, but a 90-point player, a guy who's top 5 in even strength goals in the league, playing 21-plus minutes on one of the better teams in the NHL. And you're right, he's a great complement to other good players, and that's a skill in itself, that he can play with other great players, but he doesn't have to. He can play down the lineup. He can play with Cirelli and Paul, who are good players, but not necessarily high-end guys, and still be effective. And then, same thing, eyebrows raised a little bit when he was named to the Four Nations. You weren't quite sure, is that a bit of a stretch? Is that a John Cooper thing? You look at the numbers, you recognize the player. It wasn't at all. He deserved to be there, and he played well enough. He's probably going to be on the Olympic team as well, which is going to be that much harder to make. So it's an incredible, his ascension. I don't know. I feel like he's got to be near the ceiling, but what that board showed us, maybe not.
Who knows?
It maybe scored some power play goals. Sky's the limit.
You can have that total, right?
Give him 5 PPGs. He's got 40.
5 goals without one on the power play. Pretty impressive. How about number 12, Jesper Bratt, also another first-timer on our list. And Rupper, I know you're impressed with his game, and it's not just all about the points and the offense, right?
Yeah, I mean, here's a player that at one point in the season, I remember I saw the stat where he's the only player in the league that had over 80 points and over 80 hits. And you might say, I don't think of him as a physical player, but I like the fact that a higher echelon guy getting points, he's willing to get his body in there. And he's not a big guy. He'll throw his weight around. He's thick. He's got some strength to him. But I just love the fact that I think there's another level of consistency in his game, but he's also been a pretty effective player with Jack Hughes out at times. Like, he's about a point a game over the last number of seasons with Jack Hughes out. So he's just not feeding off of Jack Hughes' great talents on offense. He can generate and drive offense. I think it's really impressive in this list. I didn't know in 30 years of existence with the Devils that this was the record, but he set that with most assists in the season. It's pretty impressive.
He's a play driver. There's no doubt. And I won't do this for every player. I think he was on my top 20 last year, too.
Hey.
I think so. He is a dynamic player, and he might get lost in the shuffle a little bit because of Jack Hughes, because how great Jack Hughes is and some of the other players that he plays with. But he, in himself, one of the best transporters of the puck in the entire NHL. Zone exits, zone entries, generating off the rush. You mentioned his willingness to get physical. You can't produce the amount that he does without willing to take hits, give hits, battle for pucks. He's very good at that. If he wants to maybe get even higher on this list, that goal, we love the 67 assists. That's a monster number. Monster. Pushing closer to 30 goals would be, a few more goals, a bit more goal scoring for him. But he is an absolutely dynamic player. And any thought that some of Jersey guys might not be made for the playoffs, he's not one of those guys. He is a He's a competitive, gritty, incredibly skilled player.
All right, Jesper Bratt on our list for the first time. Not Johnny's list,
No,
our
no.
list.
5 years
going
running.
to stay there 5 years running. All right, how about number 11? Everybody had this guy in the top 20. I could say that convincingly. How about Jake Gensel, right? You think new team,
Yeah.
his first chance at free agency, where's he going to go? Well, he chooses Tampa. Guess what? It's not just a product of Sidney Crosby and those superstar guys. Like, this guy can produce. He can produce with anybody. He can produce on his own. How about Jake Gensel? New city, new team, same old production.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the three of us, we've talked about this guy like in this light for years. That he's not a benefactor of just who he's playing with. Does that help? Absolutely, it helps.
He helps them too, though.
Yes, he can drive. He thinks the game at an elite level. He's fearless. He's not big. He goes in. Sometimes he takes some pretty nasty hits because of it, but he bounces back up and he gets his nose right back in there. I love Jake Gensel. I love what he's showing here because it was always, oh, well, he gets to play with Sid, And you start seeing him now, yes, he gets to play with Nikita Kucherov, but he's also showing that it doesn't matter what team, what you run as far as X's and O's, put Jake Gensel out there, he's going to make plays. That is what he does.
He's always been that guy, though, right? I mean, I think even from the day he got in the NHL, this guy's, he's underwhelming, underassuming when you see his personality and he's a quiet spoken and he doesn't run around out there on the ice. All he does is go out there and produce year after year after year from the time he played in college into the minors and now clearly on through the pros. And there would be a little bit of pressure because when you're a UFA, you pick your team. Not to mention Tampa made some adjustments with their Steven Stamkos captain to maybe accommodate you in some capacity. Now it turned out to be a very good decision. So there's some pressure on him to validate Tampa's belief in him, and he certainly did that. Just another consistent point per game. And I just love how he just plays.
Yeah.
He's not getting caught up in the, and he does what he does well. He won't let you get him off his game. He's like, I'm not going to bother with you. I can't beat you at that, but I'm just going to go to the front of the net, take hits, make plays. He's always had a great stick around the net.
And that's what you're saying, around the net. He's not a perimeter guy.
No.
He is a guy that gets in there, and that he's consistent at it.
Right.
So his teammates know, hey, we got Jake in this spot, I get the puck to the net, and I think that's what makes him very valuable.
Yeah, and he's not just a regular season guy, too. Like, the bigger the moments we've seen him in Pittsburgh in the playoffs and stuff. Like, he is a...
Playoff numbers are incredible.
The brighter the moment, the bigger he shines, it feels like.
What was the biggest moment last year? The Four Nations.
For sure.
He was really good in that tournament.
Would you guys have him higher on your list? We'll get a chance to see your individual list later
You're running
on.
into some pretty
But
good
at number
players.
11,
That's the problem.
Yeah, he's
But
a pretty good player.
Yeah, I'd
he
say-
would warrant that consideration.
I could see it. I don't know. If we get time to see our list, I'll see
have
where I
it,
had
yeah.
him. I don't know where I had him, but
All right.
I think this is around that area.
At the right spot.
All right. We'll see. We'll leave it up to Twitter. How's that?
There are more wings than any other position.
I know. That's
in the
why this
NHL,
list is
so
hard.
it's
Yeah,
tough
we should do
list to
top
crack.
50. We'll take a timeout here on our top 20 countdown. When we come back-to-back cups for the Florida Panthers. Find out where a couple of their guys rank on our list when NHL Tonight returns.
Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final. Panthers lead 3-2, looking to close it out and make it back-to-back cups.
Sam Reinhart kickstarts Florida again.
What a play! High slide, the chuck shot, he scores! Oh, what a big goal!
It's a hat trick. Sam Reinhart.
Down to the final 5 seconds. Reds rain down. Lord Stanley staying in South Florida. Last year was greatness. This time it's historic. The Florida Panthers are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions.
All right, here we go inside our top 10 right now. We start at number 10 with the Breadman, Artemi Panarin. After that, it's Kyle Connor at number 9, Sam Reinhart, and Matthew Tkachuk. A couple of back-to-back Stanley Cup champions checking in at 8 and 7, respectively. And at number 6, William Nylander. Let's start with Sam Reinhart. What a 2 years it's been for Sam Reinhart down there in South Florida. He has that 57-goal season 2 years ago. Follows that up with just a 39-goal season, I think, one shy of 40. Gets the new contract, back-to-back cups. Actually jumps up one spot. He was number 9 on our list last year. He's up to 8 this year.
I love his game and how he can influence a game in general, but just the fact that he went from 57, I think going into last season, Johnny, I'm like, you know what, it's not going to be that. We feel pretty confident it's not going to be that. I'm actually really surprised he got to 39, and I mean it from the, like, he's still a 40-goal guy. You know what I mean? And so I think that's who he is now.
Yeah.
I think that's who he is and how he's used down there in Florida. So I'm really impressed with what he's been putting together here, and we're seeing some of the best Sam Reinhart over the last couple seasons.
40-goal guy who also, as a winger, is a Selke finalist.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're a wing to get recognized for excellent defensive play. You have to be really elite to be in that consideration, and he is that. The fact that he can play with the Selke winner and also be recognized himself. Again, he's not good because he plays with Barkov.
Yeah.
He's good because he's great because he's great at it. And the goal scoring, shorthanded goals as well, threaten every situation. And then you think, okay, what is Sam Reinhart great at? Beyond mentally. He's not the fastest, not the biggest, doesn't shoot it the hardest. I guess he shoots it accurately, but like he doesn't overwhelm you with his any individual physical skill, but his knowledge of the game, is able to read it, and all of that. And then in the playoffs, when it's supposed to get harder for players, he certainly doesn't have any issue with that either. Had a great playoff run this spring. Of course, the hat trick there to finish it off was an incredible night for Florida. So there is no stage too big. He can do it in every possible situation. And the reason why he jumped up, despite the numbers going down, because I think the idea that it was a once-in-a-lifetime season is out the window. I think we now realize every year he's going to be in this because every year he's going to be excellent.
Yeah. You mentioned what is he great at? I would throw in the power play on the bumper.
Yeah,
right? When I think of the power play and some of the elite bumper guys, like I think of him first and foremost.
And it's funny because we've covered the finals here for these guys for a while, and when they need something, the guy you think of that can change the game with one touch of the puck on his stick, it's Sam Reinhart. And that's no knock. I mean, he's not. I think Sasha Barkov's a better player, but the point is, this guy's a game changer, and he knows to find that spot, whether it's on the power play or that soft area on the ice between coverage, and it just has to be there 1 second, and it's in the back of the net. I think that's the one thing that jumps out to me is when you need a big moment. I feel like Sam Reinhart's your guy.
As far as excellence versus time of possession, he's low because he doesn't have it on his stick a lot.
Doesn't need it.
Doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Because it's on and off and back of the net.
All right, Reinhart up a spot to number 8. At number 7, Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Matthew Tkachuk dropping a couple of spots. He was number 2 on our list last year. If we phoned him up, you think he would care right now? I don't think so. He's in his pool.
He's not answering our calls.
With the cup. I mean, back-to-back Stanley Cups. You think of this guy getting traded to Florida. He's been there 3 seasons now.
Yeah.
All 3 seasons, he's made the Stanley Cup Finals. He's won 2 of those. You talk about a guy impacting and maybe changing the trajectory of that franchise. Has anybody done that more than this guy at number 7?
No, not at all. I mean, just think about all the different ways that he has changed the dynamic of that team. Not just the success, but the perception and the culture and the business and the value and all of it. And we know he was hurt, and we almost love him for the reason he got hurt. Playing in the Four Nations. He should not have played the last couple games. But he was doing it anyways because he could not want any more to be successful for the U.S. And in the way that he famously started that one game against Canada, but just really became the face of that tournament. That tournament was the huge deal. He was the biggest spokesperson for it in all the right ways when he was there. And not surprising, we know that he loves the big moment. We know he loves emotional, antagonistic games, but the plays he makes with the puck. It's just the plays he can make with the puck. Another guy who's not blessed with being a great skater, but has great hands, great vision, and playing with one leg in the playoffs was incredibly productive as well. He's just a gamer. Whatever cliche word you want to use for a hockey player, that's what Matthew Tkachuk is.
I think back to when they lost to Vegas. And I remember he had the fractured sternum, and he's playing through it. Should not have been playing. I mean, that's one thing. He's gone through a lot of things, and I think he's learning how to manage the injuries, the wear and tear of the way he plays, but also at the same time adjusting his game at times to be productive in maybe less games at times. Maybe taking care of your body so in the right moments I can be that guy. And we've seen it in Four Nations. We've seen it in the playoffs. We see it in the summertime.
We see it in the video games.
Yeah, you called him a gamer. He literally is now, right? It's on the cover of it.
Is there a player over the last couple years that has been more of a spokesperson for the NHL? I think that Matthew Tkachuk. He's everywhere, and deservingly so.
Late night
we
shows.
love guys like this. We're waiting for guys like this. I love watching them take advantage of that.
You can have big personality, but it doesn't land unless you got big game.
Right.
You got to have the game to back it up always. And first and foremost, he is an elite level player.
Yep. All right. Checking in our on our list at number 7. How about number 6? William Nylander, Toronto Maple Leafs. Of course, the core up there in Toronto is not going to look the same coming into this season. This guy wasn't going anywhere. And, Johnny, we talked about it in our pre-production meeting. This guy he handles that city. He handles that pressure, right? It doesn't rattle him. He's a perfect fit for Toronto. Why?
Because he has that attitude and energy that he doesn't care. Now, of course he cares, but he's not bothered by the very loud noise that surrounds the Toronto Maple Leafs and their best players. Whether you're doing well and you're being showered with praise, it doesn't get him too excited. He doesn't worry about it. And if you're doing poorly, he doesn't worry about it. The best is talking to William Nylander after Toronto loses 3 games in a row. And the sky is falling and the fans are upset. And he's like, guys, who cares? It's 3 games. It's fine. We'll get him next game. And he just saunters off, towel around his shoulders, shirts off, no big deal. And then he goes and backs it up. Yeah. And he is one of the most, Austin Matthews is obviously Toronto's best player, but he might be the physically most gifted when it comes to skating. You watch the way that he can use his edges, a lot like his dad used to when he used to chase his dad around, Michael, when he played. The way he can escape, find space, shoot the puck. You can't cover him one-on-one. When he loves to get out by the blue line, dare the defenseman, come out to my territory and try to cover me, because you can't. He is a really unique player in that way that most great players, even the ones on this list, they're not individual players per se, because it's hard to beat anyone one-on-one. William Nylander still has that skill.
You know, Johnny, you're around this team a lot. I find over the last few years what I've learned about him, I think, and it's no... An endorsement of one is an indictment for anybody else. He is the game breaker for this team. Like, he is the guy in the big moments, I think, that has the ability to elevate and find another level because of those things you're saying. One-on-one, he's a nightmare. You can't cover him one-on-one. And a lot of teams in this league now, we're starting to see some hybrid defensive zone coverages. That feeds right into what this guy does. I mean, he's so silky smooth, and to your point, it almost feels like nothing bothers him. Yeah. So you never really see him on the other end of guys trying to get under his skin, because I think guys know, I'm not going to bother. Right. It's not going to affect a guy like that. Yeah. He's silky smooth out there. He's fun to watch.
But don't mistake his casual demeanor with lack of fire.
Right.
Again, I'm privy to being down by the benches, and you see him, whether it's breaking his stick or getting mad at himself or getting mad at his teammates. Saw that clip in that show a couple years ago, getting after his line mates. Like, he burns to be great. He wants the puck. He wants the pressure. He wants the moment because he thinks he can do it. So he is, and it's going to be that much bigger next year.
Yes.
Without Mitch Marner around, more will be asked of him, but he might be capable of delivering even more than what he already has.
Looking ahead to the future with the new CBA, and that's agreed upon, and the no dress code, I'm interested to see how he would roll up to the arena without,
he's still wearing a suit.
A guy that, you think so? He's got some serious stuff. Him and Austin up there.
Some days it'll be a suit. Some days it might look like he's going to the beach. Either way.
Hey.
We're going to be watching either way. And he'll love it.
In Toronto in February.
And he'll love it.
You never know. All right, he'll still bring it on the ice. That we do know. When we come back here on our countdown, former Leaf Mitch Marner joining the Vegas Golden Knights. Find out where Marner ranks and what the expectations are for his first season out west. That's next. Mitch Marner's a hell of a player.
Mitch does so many things so well, offensively, defensively, and killing penalties.
He's so skilled.
To the net, and scores! Some magic from Mitch Marner.
He's an electrifying player.
In the hockey sense, he's got it up there. It is a God gift.
He's as tenacious away from the puck as he is on the puck.
And a hat trick for Mitch Marner. Mitch Marner scores! Mitch Marner has hit the century mark.
What a year for Mitch Marner.
All right, there you go. Mitch Marner coming in at number 5 will not be wearing that sweater that we just saw because he is now a Vegas Golden Knight. Let's talk about Mitch Marner first and then talk about his new situation next. Mitch Marner, the player, number 5, top 5 players, top 5 wingers in the National Hockey League. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's an incredibly talented player. 100 points plus for the first time in his career. Obviously a setup guy primarily more than a goal scorer, but still can score, upwards of 30 goals. He played point prepper on the power play for a lot of the season, so there's no part of the game he doesn't touch. There's no sort of role he can't fill. Penalty kill, checking their team's best players, obviously trying to score. Great vision, great brain for the game. He just has a real knack for making plays all the time. Now, the one big knock on Mitch Marner is, of course, playoff production and playoff success, because the regular season production, he is a top 5 guy all day long. Now, this year, he had a point a game. It's not like that's terrible. But again, even in a good year, it's slightly down from what he does. And it really is his rate of goals goes way down in the playoffs. But in the regular season, undoubtedly one of the best wingers in the entire NHL. The guy that every player would want to play with, because he makes your game easier and more productive.
He takes a lot of heat. We know this. You just touched on it. And the regular season, he's a guy, though, that I think gets you to a place, gets you to the spot where you can win your division. I think Mitch Marner is a guy that will get you a lot of points. When I say points, standings points in your favor. That's very valuable.
Yes.
You know, and I almost compare him. No, he's kind of a comp to me. Him and Artemi Panarin. So Artemi Panarin, I think, was a great signing for the Rangers. I think he's been very valuable. Hasn't always had the playoff success, but he gets that team to a certain level during the regular season. That's Mitch Marner. Now, we'll see how that translates here to Vegas.
Yep.
I'm so excited to see his game. I don't know, will he get to 100? Theoretically, he might have more. He might even set another career. He might be playing with Jack Eichel like that. I'm very interested because you touched on it, Johnny. He could do everything. Yeah. And I want to see how he fits in there in Vegas. It could be a lethal combination.
Is he freed up? I mean, I think he acknowledged that he felt the weight, not always pressure, but just the weight. He's a Toronto kid playing for Toronto. He was going, if he had not left, he would have gone down as the greatest Toronto-born Maple Leaf of all time. Yeah. And so I think he carried that sort of weight of, you know, everyone watching, wanting to do so well, wanting to do so well. If he somehow is freed up mentally and emotionally from being in Vegas in a different environment, yes, there's a lot of pressure there. Pressure from yourself, pressure from the organization, but just different. And he's a dad now, and he's married now, and there are maybe more levels for him to get to, because he has always been, whether it's junior into the NHL, you know, one of the very best in the world.
Yeah. Last thing I want to say, and it's not a shot to the Leafs too, but the Leafs have never. They haven't been. They're starting to get a team that does certain things in the playoffs. Yep. So you can't just put the blame on him. No. The team didn't play certain styles that translated well to playoff hockey. Vegas does. Right. So now all of a sudden, he could just all of a sudden become a playoff performer. We don't know yet until we see him in that sweater.
And it might be 85 points, but more playoff success, which he would gladly take, and so would Vegas. So he's done everything you can possibly do individually, other than have playoff success, and that's what he's chasing in Vegas.
Comparison, Jack Eichel. When Jack Eichel was in Buffalo, right? Same thing, center of attention, the pressure and all that stuff. To have to be the guy he goes to Vegas, doesn't have to be the guy, and yet his game takes off.
But everybody labeled Jack he's not a winner. You can't win with that guy. That guy's going to detract from your team. I'm not saying Mitch has those same types of things, but
no, he does have that said about him.
Now all of a sudden you look at Jack. Jack is a leader. Jack is
he's a winner.
He's climbing up that centers list, which we'll get to another day.
Excellent.
It's
company man right here.
It's incredible.
Well done. All right, Mitch Marner cracking our top 5 at number 5. At number 4, what a whirlwind year it was for this guy, Mikko Rantanen. 3 teams in one season, right? Traded from the Colorado Avalanche to the Carolina Hurricanes. He's only there for about a couple of weeks, and then traded down to the Dallas Stars. And who does he play in the first round? He plays his former team in Colorado. This guy's just hoping to wear one sweater for one season at this point, but he got the big deal. With that comes what kind of expectations?
I think they would tell him no different than what you went into every season with. We're paying you not to be better than what you've done. We're paying you to do what you always do. And so it's so strange. I don't think there'll be any player on any of these lists that played for 3 teams in a season. For a player this good to move twice in a year is unheard of in the NHL. And so we understand why and the situation around it. But the fact that he was as productive as he was, going through an emotional negotiation, which, you know, I think as word leaked out afterwards, he was sort of part of and was trying to work through, and then going through a tricky adjustment in Carolina, maybe a place he wasn't sure he wanted to stay long term, and then going into Dallas. Finally now, Dallas, all those Finnish players probably made him feel a little bit more at home, and he gets the contract that would settle him in for the long term. But then you walk right into playing against Colorado. And if he would have been completely excused if that felt like too much. Hard series for him. And yet he was great. He was unbelievable in that series. And I think that's why he's so high. We know he's so great offensively, but in the playoffs, he is one of the best producers of this generation of players when it comes to the playoffs.
That you can grab all these different aspects as far as maybe his numbers weren't good in Carolina, weren't good in Dallas in the regular season, or what his standard is. But I can't unsee what we saw in the playoffs. And there's very few. When I say very few, like you might be able to count them on one hand, possibly a couple fingers of the other hand, in the world that can take over series, games, drag their team over the finish line. That we saw from Mikko Rantanen.
He was on a heater. An absolute heater.
You don't just fall upon that.
Yeah.
That's in there. We'll see if he can get that out a little more consistently here, being the big dog in Dallas. But I thought he was fantastic.
And how about just having a full summer to kind of settle into his new honks down there in Dallas and just get a training camp with his new team and stuff like that? It feels like the sky's the limit for Rantanen down in Dallas.
Especially when he was so candid about being unsettled.
Yes, exactly.
Not everyone reacts the same, but he clearly was a guy who was craving consistency and stability.
Yeah.
He's got it for a decade on a really good team. And so, again, another one of those guys, I'm not sure if he'll score 50 again and get 105 points, but I still think he might be on one of the best teams in the league and still be the best player on it.
He might not have to do that in the regular season, but then you get in a playoff series, that guy could be knocking at the door and
that's what you pay him for.
To the next round.
All right, how about at number 3, Kirill Kaprizov? You talk about a guy, we talked about Rantanen getting a big payday. This guy might be the highest paid guy in the NHL at some point coming up soon because he is eligible to sign that extension with Minnesota right now, so time is ticking on that front. But when you talk about a guy who is the identity and the heartbeat of that organization, Rupper, is there anybody more suited to that maybe category than Kirill Kaprizov in Minnesota?
No. And when I put my list together here, I really struggled at where I had him because I didn't have him at 1. But I'm like, does he get 2? Is he at 3? Like, I knew it was in that stretch. He's right there. Yeah. And we'll get to 2 in a second. And we'll see, like, what we think about him in comps. But this is a player that, analytics, he's got that check.
Love him.
Everybody, the community, pay this man whatever he wants because he's great. The eye test, you watch him, pulls you out of your seat. He's on a team that we've talked about for years that hasn't had a high-end center. He doesn't have high-end players to play with. He makes them much better. Concern of mine is he's been missing some time with injuries. And that's one thing that maybe would keep him back at 3 for me. But Johnny, this guy's once-in-a-lifetime type player.
Yeah, which is why Minnesota is going to do anything and everything to keep him there as long as he will stay. Perfect time for all that dead money to come off their cap because it's all going to go right to Kaprizov, and he deserves it. But you're exactly right, Rupper. To be a play-driving winger without high, I mean, Rossi's a good player and Hartman's a good player, but they're not on the top 20 list for centers, and he does not matter. He can create, and he's at the point now on this team where the other team's game plan would revolve almost solely around controlling Kaprizov, because if you can stop him, you're going to have a good chance to beat Minnesota.
Right.
You can't stop him.
Yeah.
Now, I want to see him healthy a whole 82 games, and I want to see him push 50 goals, and I want to see him push 110, 115 points, because he has that kind of talent, and when he does that, then he's right there with the very best in the league.
Yeah, they were one of the top teams in the league up till maybe Christmas time. He gets injured, the wheels kind of fall off, and then they get him back, and the rest is history.
He's just magic, though.
He is.
He's not a big guy.
No.
He's not a tall player, but
he gets that puck, and you can't get it from him.
He's got the creative to open up the legs and shifty. And
they call him the thrill for the reason.
Yeah,
he's
so
so fun
incredible
to
to
watch.
puck.
Kirill Kaprizov coming in at number 3. We'll take a timeout. And then there were 2. Pasta and Cooch, our top 2 wings on our countdown. The question is, who's number 1? We'll find out next.
Pastrnak looks like himself again.
Wow, he's been fun to watch over the last several weeks. He's always fun to watch.
Did someone ask for some pasta?
You see the amount of points he had in the month?
28 points.
That's hard to get in the season.
It's almost 31. It's only 31 days.
He's got goals in 4 straight. David Pastrnak stepped the rocket.
Even from the dot or further out, he can still beat you.
Started off February with a hat trick.
18th career hat trick for David Pastrnak.
All right, the man they call Pasta in Boston, David Pastrnak, coming in at number 2 on our top 20 wings right now in the NHL. Deservedly so. 3rd straight 100-point season for the Boston Bruins. Only 2 other Bs have ever done that. Bobby Orr, heard of him? Yes. Phil Esposito, heard of him?
Good company.
Yes. Great company for David Pastrnak. Speaking of company, a lot of his good company has gone on to either retirement or different teams. The guy, what he did last year,
might have been his
what
best
he was working with, is pretty impressive, isn't it?
I think it's been one of the more impressive individual seasons that we've seen. I mean, it's up there with anyone that we've seen in the last 10 years plus, I think.
Yep.
What he did with not much to play with. It was not a good team, terrible power play, so it was not a power play merchant. Led the league 5-on-5 points. He was a one-man. You just talked about Kaprizov. Like, you're going in to play Minnesota, like it's all around Kirill Kaprizov. Well, I mean, it's all around David Pastrnak when you're going to play the Bruins. It didn't matter, man. That second half, he was incredible.
Yeah, I mean, and you see that he plays every single game impressively, that he battles through it. You see that way he finished trying to drive his team down the stretch and try to get towards the playoffs. He turned Geekie into a elite level scorer and to a nice contract. He can do it all. He can do it all. He is crafty offensively, one-on-one, the toe drags and the slippery moves. We know he's a volume shooter. Every year it's McKinnon or Pastrnak. They take the most shots in the league. And he doesn't have to have the man advantage. I think this matters. The fact that he led the league in 5-on-5 points is an incredible number. A lot of wingers on that board, I might add as well, for guys who don't drive offense all the time. But he is just one of the purest, best offensive players. And it's only going to get harder for him. Yeah. But fortunately for the Boston Bruins, he might be one of the rare guys that he can do it without a super strong supporting cast.
He's so good and so, and you're not going to get it in the top 2 in the wingers list in the National Hockey League without having a good all-around game. We know about his shot, an elite shot, an incredible shot. He can score some goals. His passing, like, how do you play him? You know what I mean? Like, you got to be on your toes every second because he's going to be in that shooting position. He's so good at masking that shot, too. Then all of a sudden, he just curls his wrist and snaps one back door to Morgan Geekie for a tap-in. You know what I mean? Like, that's the things. He's so good at passing, so good at shooting. It's hard to defend this
What's
guy.
interesting about him, too, because he does like to float around the weak side and shoot a lot. And I think this year he evolved his game where he said, you know what? I need to have it on my stick and create for others. Not necessarily just look to convert, but to create for others. You saw a guy who was able to adjust his game based on not his needs, but his team's and his line mates' needs.
And does anybody have more fun, or at least it looks that way, doing it than what he does? Always with the biggest smile on his face. David Pastrnak at number 2. How about number 1?
He makes everybody better around him.
He's the best shooter from the right circle.
Here's Kucherov, and he scores! Kucherov is off and running. This is why I say Uchi Wally, Coochie Bang Bang. Oh, what a move by Kucherov!
One of the best all-time playmakers, setup guys ever.
An unbelievable pass! No one sees the ice the way this guy does.
Who else would it be? You could have just re-recorded last year's show, right? Nikita Kucherov, top winger last year in the NHL, also the top winger this year, according to our countdown. Hall of Fame resume already. I mean,
down year, 121.
Yeah, down year, 121. He wins the Art Ross again. I think it's the 3rd time in his career. Yes, he's done that. Also, Ted Lindsay Award winner. I mean, you name it. This guy's only 32 years old. He's got a lot of track left to go here. But I mean, like I said, if he didn't play another game in the NHL, Hall of Famer, first ballot.
Easily Hall of Famer. That's long since sailed. He's a couple more years from being Tampa's greatest player. He's probably behind Stammer only at this point. He'll have that under his belt as well. Yeah, he's a magician. He is just pure offense and skill and talent with the puck. And you watch him play, and he makes it look easy. He makes it look effortless, but it's not. Because when there's a race for the puck, he doesn't look fast, except he'll win the race. And when there's a battle for the puck, he doesn't really play that physically until he wants the puck back and he goes and gets it. You know, and like whatever he needs to do, he can do that at the highest level to do whatever he wants offensively. He's probably the best power play quarterback in the league now when it runs through him, the way that he can snap it around to whoever he's out there with. There's Rupper. When it comes to offense, there's nothing this guy can't do.
The way he thinks the game, the way he sees the game, it's just different. And you watch him, and he'll be on that right circle on the power play. Sometimes that puck will come in, and he'll go short side inside the elbow. He's got a great shot right there. But you get that same puck coming around, the same look. He'll wind up for that fake or that half slap shot, and then next thing you know, he's putting a real nice touch into the middle there for Braden Point popping out. Or he's zipping it through to the weak side, or he's getting it back to Victor Hedman. But all of the looks look the same, but he comes up with 4 different plays. Like, the guy is so hard to defend, because I think he's seeing plays develop and happen way before they do.
The honor of getting the Lindsay again. I mean, I know the Hart is the more recognized historical award, but getting voted by your peers the best player, that really does resonate. I'm watching this highlight reel, and another thing you think, he doesn't shoot that well. Any shot you want, he's got a wrister, slapper, deke, backhand, whatever you want. And it doesn't come without work because he's famous for 10 days after the season ends. Whenever it ends for Tampa, he's back on the ice. To the point where a whole bunch of the Tampa guys, Anthony Cirelli, Brandon Hagel, they go down in August. And they basically say, Cooch, when are you going on the ice? And we're like little puppy dogs, going to follow you around and just do whatever you do to try to learn off of you. He works at it to be as great as he is.
All right, back-to-back years at number 1. The question is, when will that reign come to an end? We don't know because of how good he is. David Pastrnak at number 2, Kirill Kaprizov at 3, Mikko Rantanen at number 4, Mitch Marner number 5. There is your top 10
good
wings
list
right now, according to us here at the NHL Network. You guys compiled your own list, so let's take a look at your individual list, compare them to what the network overall had, and then maybe we can debate.
Sure.
All right, who's going first?
Let's
throw it up there.
Just try to get some more heat.
Let's see, let's
sure,
see what we
why
can do.
not?
All right,
Bring
Johnny,
it on.
here you go. All right, so here's your list. Let's see.
All right, I'm pretty similar.
Marner
pretty
and Rantanen
similar.
flipped right there. That's about
I
the
had
only
Hagel
difference.
instead.
You don't have Nylander
Panarin
as high.
Yeah, I have him a couple spots lower. I think Hagel is the one guy that stands out to me in lieu of Panarin. Panarin's incredible. It's hard to leave him off. But they're very similar players as far as the 5-on-5 production. I just thought Hagel, with what he did, that 35 non-power play goals, the 90 points. You can make an easy argument for Panarin, but I don't mind this list. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, I like that one.
I don't think anyone's going to come at me too hard. Now, Kyle Connor high, but he had a very quiet, 97 points or whatever it was.
He's
so
phenomenal.
He had a great year.
All right, that's Mike Johnson's list. How about Mike Rupp's list?
Tear it apart, people.
Yeah, crush it.
All right, well, look at that. I got the same top 4 there.
Yeah, Gensel a little bit higher.
You know what?
You got
what I
Gensel
got,
inside
though?
the top 10.
I flipped Willie Nylander for me is higher than Mitch Marner.
Right. Yep.
And, we see where Mitch is. That's the one big discrepancy from my list to the network's list. And I just think that the guys ahead of him, maybe like a Jake Gensel, I don't know, the playoff performance.
No Sam Reinhart either.
For sure.
In your top 10.
Yeah, Sam wasn't up
Samson.
there as well.
Yeah.
That's Mike Rupp.
All right, it's always fun to do these lists, right? The top 20, just getting them going here in the offseason. Like we said, it just means season's getting close, but we've also run out of things to talk about. So let's throw something up there and let's all debate it. So for Mike Johnson, Mike Rupp, I'm Jameson Coyle. Thanks so much for watching our Top 20 Wings Right Now Countdown show. Feel free to reach out, debate with us if you've got any discrepancies.
To Jameson.